Will Bryce Underwood enter into the college football transfer portal? There seems to be rumors floating around that Underwood may leave Michigan and try to find a new home. Could he potentially be a Duck in the 2026 college football season? I'll let you know in today's video. This tweet from Austin Mock really got my creative juices flowing, and then I decided that the Oregon Football Report, which is this channel, needed a new video by their host, Will Ortner, that's me, about whether or not Oregon would really be in the Dylan Raiola or Bryce Underwood business. Now, it is important to note from Mock, a college football reporter, that he doesn't necessarily have any inside intel. So there's no one at Oregon's camp that's saying, yes, this is definitely happening, or no, this is definitely not happening. But there have definitely been rumors circulating since probably all the way back until October that Bryce Underwood and Oregon were very much interested in each other, or at least Oregon was very interested in Bryce Underwood. What was that interest, and why would Bryce Underwood leave? We'll dive into that after I do some business. Make sure that you come in and subscribe to the channel. We're trying to be the fastest growing chat sports college football show. Right now, we're the fastest to get to 1,000 subscribers. Help us be the fastest to get to 2,000 subscribers. 1,300, a little bit over subscribers. That means we need just under 700 subscribers to help us get to that 2K mark. Help us out. Come on in and subscribe to the channel. You'll get daily Oregon Ducks football content. Now, a question that most of you are going to ask is, why would Underwood leave Michigan? Well, I feel like he was very underutilized in the offense that they had over there at Michigan. And then this broke by Pete Thamel. Of course, this was last week. Byrce Moore, the former head coach of the Michigan Wolverines, was fired and was fired by cause. That gave Bryce Underwood even more reason to be interested in the transfer portal. And it's very clear that the Underwood camp is very much looking at who Michigan could hire as the next coach. And that would be a big reason why Underwood may stay at Michigan or may enter into the portal. This coming to us from Pete Nakos. Sources have told On3 that those in Underwood's camp are paying close attention to who the next hire will be following the recent upheaval in Michigan. The contract that Underwood signed to go to Michigan does not include a buyout, sources tell On3. The lack of a buyout makes it possible for Underwood to enter the transfer portal. Now, before I give you my take on whether or not Underwood would enter the transfer portal, I do think it's important to mention that over here at Chat Sports, we have a Michigan channel, and the host, James Yoder, has actually contradicted that On3 report, and he has said, along with multiple other sources, that there is a buyout for the contract. On3 is reporting that there isn't a buyout for the contract. So there's some conflicting reports there on whether or not there would be a buyout. My take is, if Michigan wants to keep Underwood, they should treat him like a star. If Michigan wants to keep Bryce Underwood, they should make sure that he is a part of the hiring process for the next head coach, and the next head coach understands that Underwood will be the guy. The question will be, does Michigan want to do that? Underwood clearly has all the potential in the world. He's been compared to Cam Newton and Dennis Dixon, and he deserves those comparisons on his potential. But last season, I wouldn't necessarily say that he fully lived up to that potential. So, would Michigan do this? I don't know. Do you think that Bryce Underwood will stay at Michigan? Go down below in the comments, type A for agree or type D for disagree. I think that the head coaching candidates are going to play a gigantic role in that. And so I'm going to say that I disagree. He may not be at Michigan next year. Here are the top coaching candidates right now that are not in-house: Jed Fish, Kenny Dillingham, and Kalen DeBoer. Now, me personally, I think it would just be a shame. In fact, I might have to buy some Kleenex, buy some tissues, maybe cry some crocodile tears if Jedd Fisch were to leave UW to head on over and coach Michigan. What I do think is fascinating about all three of those coaching candidates is that they are kind of known for developing quarterbacks. So it does make sense why Michigan would try and go and bring them in. Now, if I am Bryce Underwood, Kenny Dillingham would definitely get me to stay at Michigan. He has developed quarterbacks. He developed Bo Nix, and he developed Sam Levitt. Both of those guys, really good college football quarterbacks. If he gets hired, yeah, I might stay over at Michigan. But if it's not him, Kalen DeBoer, well, he did a good job with Michael Penix, but he hasn't done such a good job as of late with Jalen Milroe and with Ty Simpson. Good quarterbacks. I don't know if I'd say great. And Jedd Fisch, Noah Fafita, and Damon Williams, they're fine. But I wouldn't necessarily say that they are stars. I don't know that Underwood stays at Michigan. I said that I disagree with him staying at Michigan. I think I'm still kind of there. Now, I'd probably say that I'm more of a 60-40 type of thing, where 60% of me says that he leaves, 40% of me says that he goes. And that's more so not because I believe that Underwood is clamoring to get out. I just think that his camp, they have shown that they are smart business people and that they know where to put Underwood in a spot where he can make the most money. The question is now will they put him in a spot where he can be developed the most or the best? And if it's at Michigan, well then, hey, he should probably stay. But if he were to enter into the transfer portal, I think that Oregon would actually be the best spot for him to develop as a quarterback. Now, I understand that the last couple of quarterbacks that have come into Oregon, they've had different OCs to a degree, and you'd have a new OC with Drew Maringer coming in to be the offensive coordinator. Well, he was a part of those staffs that developed a lot of those quarterbacks that already came in and transferred and did quite well. The other reason is, well, Bryce Underwood already kind of has a connection with the Oregon football crew and specifically with Dante Moore. Now, Pete Nakos says this: Underwood is rep by Equity Sports. That is the same agency that represents Dante Moore, who is currently in a breakout season over at Oregon. Now, Moore and Underwood have a very friendly relationship from what we are told. They run in similar circles. Obviously, a lot of these star quarterback prospects, they hang out together. They go to the same camps together. They really develop and become young men together. And it would make sense that Dante Moore, if he does have a good relationship with Underwood, either through mutual friends or mutual agents being friends, both coming from the same agency, it would make sense for Dante Moore to reach out to him if Oregon was interested and say, hey, man, look at what Oregon did for me. When you look at the stat line right there for Dante Moore, I'd tell you that it's better than pretty darn good. His completion percentage is well over 70%. He is going to finish after the college football playoff with well over 3,000 yards. He probably gets close to 30 touchdown passes. And the interception numbers, they are fantastic because of how low they are. And I think Dante Moore would be the perfect person to convince Bryce Underwood to come to Oregon. Think about how they're similar. Both are highly recruited quarterback prospects out of high school. Both go to a first stop where they, frankly, struggle. Dante Moore did not look good at UCLA. I wouldn't say that Bryce Underwood really took the college football world by storm over at Michigan. And then they would transfer over to Oregon and really flourish in a best case scenario. So we will definitely get into some of those stats for Bryce Underwood, but I think it's important to note that if anyone could convince if anyone could convince Bryce Underwood to come to Oregon, it would be Dante Moore because they followed the same path. Make sure that you like the video. We want to make sure that we have the best Oregon football content out on YouTube. And if you like the video, you help allow us to put out more content that is informative and accurate. Liking the video helps us continue to perfect our craft here on the channel. Back to Bryce Underwood. So, Underwood's season over at Michigan was meh. His completion percentage isn't great. His yards on the season is fine. It's important to remember that he is a freshman quarterback. And look, he's 18 years old. It would be hard for anyone to come in and succeed at 18. going up against some of the top level talent that they have in P4, and the touchdown to interception ratio is not good. You know who else had a bad touchdown to interception ratio his first year? Dante Moore. Why wouldn't Bryce Underwood want to come to Oregon, a place where they could develop him into being a star quarterback? Dante Moore was someone who struggled early on. Well, then he became someone who was great later. I also think at times that in that Michigan offense that they were running under Moore wasn't the most quarterback friendly of an offense. It was a lot of run, pass. And if you were behind the sticks, quarterbacks were put in a tough situation. It also felt like there were some constraints put on quarterbacks in that offense where it was you need to do this and step and throw here, that I think Oregon would allow Underwood to kind of be more of himself. Oregon would allow Underwood to really utilize his strengths while helping him hone in and fix his weaknesses. Now, there has been some chatter, like I said, all the way back in October from some of the NIL agents that would be in the know on a potential of a player transferring. And if Oregon was going to give a pitch to Underwood, this is simply what the pitch would be. Look at Bo Nix, look at Dylan Gabriel, and hopefully look at Dante Moore. Those are three quarterbacks that were transfers, struggled in the first couple of stops that they had. Not necessarily Dylan Gabriel, but definitely Bo Nix and Dante Moore, that came to Oregon and absolutely flourished, putting themselves in a position to be big-time players in the NFL. Moore is obviously the latest example of this. And recruiting Bryce Underwood would clearly depend on if Dante Moore enters into the transfer portal, or enters into the NFL draft, But if Dante Moore enters into the NFL draft, he could easily reach back out to Bryce Underwood and say, hey, man, go to Oregon. They are going to develop you. Or they could be a part of some of the recruiting pitches that Dan Lanning and the rest of that staff has for Bryce Underwood. I find Bryce Underwood to be fascinating because when you look at his potential, I get the Cam Newton comparisons. I know that some people locally compare him to Dennis Dixon just because it's kind of the nice thing to do. But oh my goodness, the kid can make all the throws. He's big, he's strong, he's fast, and he's physical. And if you're an Oregon fan that's old enough to remember that national championship against that Cam Newton Auburn team, you know that he single-handedly won Auburn that football game. So if you're telling me that I can get a new age Cam Newton that can be developed properly by the Oregon offensive coaching staff, then heck yeah, I'm interested. And heck yeah, I want him on my team. But the question will be, is Underwood going to enter the portal? And then how hard does Oregon go after him? There's also a conversation of how hard do they go after the other transfer portal quarterbacks. Sam Leavitt has a pretty strong case for being a Duck. Dylan Raiola has a pretty strong case for being a Duck. So it'll be interesting to see as we get closer and closer to that January 2nd timeline on if Underwood will enter the portal and if Oregon is really going to go after him. Do you want Bryce Underwood in Eugene in 2026? Go into the comment section right now. Type Y for yes, type N for no, and cite your sources. I think I'm fascinated enough with Underwood that I would like to see him at Oregon. See if he can develop into being a true blue legendary type of quarterback in college football. If you think no, let me know why you say that. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel. The more subs that we get, the more fun things that we can do here on the Oregon Football Report. So if you love the Ducks, you love what we do here on the channel, and you never want to miss out on another news or rumor story, make sure that you subscribe. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I'll see y'all next time.